The next topic that we want to review is how to evaluate an algebraic expression. An algebraic expression is any mathematical expression that consists of a variable term and a constant. In the example that we have below, 3x minus 4, 3x is our variable term, and 4, or minus 4, is our constant term. We could also have an expression like just 3x without that constant term, but we would know that there's a plus 0 hanging around out there if we wanted to write it out. So really what we're looking for an algebraic expression is to have a variable term, a letter appearing somewhere in the mix of all of our letters, or all of our numbers. To quickly review a few other pieces of vocabulary, any expression is made up of terms, which are values added or subtracted from each other. In the case of 3x minus 4, we have two terms. 3x is the first term, and minus 4 is the second term, one of those being the variable and one being the constant term. We also have factors. Factors are values that are multiplied together. So in this case, we would have factors of 3 and x in that first term. And then we also have coefficients. So the coefficient for our variable term would be 3. It's just the number that precedes that variable factor. And when we look at the constant term, we could also refer to negative 4 as a coefficient, even though there's no variable component to that term. Now what we want to do is look at evaluating algebraic expressions for a given value. In example 6, we have 4y plus 8 minus 2y. What we want to do is rewrite this expression, and everywhere that variable y occurs, replace it with the value we've been given. So this will become 4 times 3 plus 8 minus 2 times 3. And from there, we'll follow order of operations. So we'll multiply 4 times 3 to get 12, plus 8 minus 6, and then we'll just complete addition and subtraction from left to right. Completing those two steps will give us a final answer of 14. In example 7, we want to do the same thing. We'll rewrite this as 4 times 5, replacing every instance of the variable z with the number 5. And then follow order of operations to simplify from there. In this case, we have an operation occurring within those parentheses. So the first thing we'll do is evaluate the expression or the operation inside those parentheses, which will give us 5. And then move on to multiplication, which will give us 20 minus 50 minus 36. And then completing those subtraction steps will leave us with a final answer of negative 66. In example 8, same process. We'll substitute in this case 0 for every instance of c. And then start off by taking care of those operations inside the parentheses. The first one will be this multiplication step. Any number times 0 will just become 0. So 11 times 0 is 0. Minus 4 minus 36. Still completing what's inside the parentheses, we'll have 0 minus 4, or negative 4, minus 36. Taking 2 times negative 4 will give us negative 8, minus 36, for a final answer of negative 44. In example 9, we have a tricky case, which we'll talk about briefly, but we'll start this process off exactly the same as the other examples. This will become, or we'll end up replacing every instance of our variable x with a value of 2. And then what we need to be careful about is the negative out in front of this expression being squared. We have 2 different cases to consider here. We have one case where the negative is outside the parentheses like it is here. In this case, that means we would take negative 4 times 4 to get negative 16. That's different than the case where that negative is inside the parentheses, meaning our exponent of 2 applies to both of those values. In that case, we would take negative 4 times negative 4 to get, positive 16. So we need to pay attention to where that negative occurs with regards to our exponent. And this first case would be the same thing as writing this as negative 4 squared. If there are no parentheses, then it's implied that the first thing we're doing is squaring that number and then multiplying by that negative 1 that we have out in front. So in this case, the first thing we'll do is evaluate the 2 times 2 inside our parentheses to give us 4 squared plus 1 plus 3. Then we'll evaluate 4 squared and make that number negative, so that will become negative 16 plus 1 plus 3. And then we'll evaluate the addition steps to end up with negative 12.